Welcome to Beyond the Box. I am your host, Eric Vincent. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time and support. And it's a damn good time to be here again as a Detroit Lions fan. And of course, when we ride shotgun at a time where AJ Reilly couldn't be here, I think he's dealing with little problems under the weather. Could be sipping too much Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. Either way, we have you over, but hope he's doing okay. And again, we're in good hands. And in the words of Justin Jackson, we believe in you. We know you gonna hold it down, my man Matt Bassin here back on Beyond the Box. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Yes, sir. Happy to step in for AJ whenever he needs me to. Whenever y'all need me to. And especially after a Lions victory, it makes it all that much more better. I get to come in here and talk about how the Lions have been playing, as opposed to what I'm used to, most of my life, which is moaning and complaining about what the Lions are doing. Not the case lately, man.
Have you settled into the stress of what it feels to play meaningful games yet in the regular season? Because I ain't used to it yet, bro. I'm still trying to get used to this process.
No, man. I mean, living almost a decade in New England and watching all my friends who are Patriots fans being used to this. And they're going, man, this is so nice to have this Lions, right? And just be used to like wins a year, like it's nothing, we're just picking it off the box, We ain't been used to that. We've been used to the first half of the season on 1-6 starts. Not so used to one continuation after that, though.
It's a good time for real, man. It's a lot of adjustments that we got to be made. We got the national media buying into us. You know, we're just sitting up here with expectations that we ain't used to having so far, man. But it's a good time to be celebrating it. It's a good time to be 7-7. Lions just making their way finally back to 500, winning 6 of their last 7 games. And I want to talk to you in the comment section. I want to hear from the people. I want to hear from One Pride. I want to hear from the fans. I want to know, because we've seen the Lions play pretty damn near close to perfect football over their past several weeks. I think they've been phenomenal. They've been doing some great things as a collective, whether it's been on offense, whether it's been on defense, whether it's the coaching staff, the special teams. We're seeing and getting a lot of contribution from everybody as a whole. But this game against the Jets, after a 20-17 victory, where it wasn't as pretty as we were expecting, it wasn't as complete from both sides of the field as we would expect to be. But when you get out with a W, that's all that matters. But of course, we got to talk about it, so we want to unpack a little bit. And I just want to know from the fan base, I want to know from you guys, the question is down at the bottom of the ticker. What grade out of 10 would you give the Lions for their victory? Now, again, we got to go over style points, and we'll talk a little bit about it just because we want to nitpick at what we're seeing. And I think it's okay to do that. Doesn't mean we're haters. It doesn't mean we're doubtful of what we're seeing. We just want to speak to what we got going on. I think it will be fair. Let's see. We got some comments coming up. Ricky would say he gives it a 7 out of 10. Are you all set, Matt? Are you feeling good with your mic now, man, or are you still working on it?
Can you hear me okay now? Is it a little bit better?
I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you a little bit.
Okay. We switched things up. I don't know why I spent all this money on a blue microphone when the damn thing ain't even going to work. And apparently I can just use the one that's in my headphones because this Yeti's not getting the job done. So that later.
It's okay. I can still hear you. We can still rock with you, though. So, yeah. Ricky gave his first score. He said he would give it a 7 out of 10 for the performance. What would you give the Lions out of 10 for what you saw yesterday against the Jets?
I mean, if all you did was just look at the performance, I'm with Ricky. All right, I'm with Ricky on this one, saying a 7 out of 10. But if you look at what the Jets have done this year, the way that they have corralled really good offenses, the Bills, they have absolutely corralled them and almost beat them twice. You know, have held them down. You're talking about Josh Allen, a guy that was supposed to be in the MVP race, pedestrian. Right. You look at every quarterback that they have had time to prepare for. There's been a great performance by the quarterback against the Jets this year. Backup, because Teddy Bridgewater got hurt in the first 2 minutes of the game. So they had no idea who was coming in to play quarterback when Bridgewater went down. They didn't have time to prepare. So they're reacting on the fly. When the Jets have time to prepare for you, when Saleh and that defense has time to prepare, they are going to make your life very difficult if you're an offense. So you got to give props to what the Jets have done all year and have continued to do. They did it yesterday too. They made it real difficult. Where you got to give the Lions props is that Goff he has been at times this game, while he wasn't that accurate and he threw the ball a lot and didn't connect a lot, he didn't make that crucial back-breaking turnover to give the Jets the game. So when you look at it in a vacuum, I'm with you. But when you look at what everyone else has done against the Jets this year and how difficult it has been for those offenses to get untracked, you got to give the Lions props for pulling out a victory, getting to the 20-point mark, and Jared Goff has the second most. I mean, you got to give him props, even if you like him or don't like him. I'm not a big fan of Jared Goff. I'm going to give him props for helping get the job done yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's what's extremely important. We've seen a lot of people nitpick at things that Goff has done. Maybe hasn't thrown the most beautiful balls, has underthrown JMO a couple times, even did against on Sunday against the Jets. Didn't have his most accurate game per usual, but you didn't have the back-breaking mistake that changed the momentum of the game, like Zach Wilson did. You didn't have that key drop or a fumble or, just a scoop and a throw of the ball on any reminiscent of what we saw between the Raiders and the Patriots in that game. There was a lot of stupid football that was played on Sunday, and I don't think it was done by the Detroit Lions. I think a 7 is fair. I would probably say between 7.5 and a 7. Yeah, you didn't get your best performance all around. You got key contributing plays, and again, this bend but don't break personality is really starting to become the identity for this team. You see them letting up some big yardage, big chunk plays to Zach Wilson in that offense. You're allowing Jared Goff to get hit a couple times. You saw the pocket close in on him a couple times, but the O-line did just enough to keep him clean, to make just enough plays to keep that offense moving consistently. And then when you needed spot big plays like a Khalif Raymond touchdown run, the last play to Brock Wright, on the catch and run, which is the play of his life without question. Or the defensive line finding ways to get home, even in spurts where they were still allowing big plays from the Jets offense. You found a certain ability of balance. And as Ricky was saying it 100%, he could be more correctly. Last year, we lose in this game. How many times have we seen the Lions establish themselves as the better team on the field, but lose because they were the dumber team on the field? You didn't have that letdown. You didn't have that problem. But I would still say, stylistic-wise, I would give them around a 7, 7.5 for what they did.
Yeah, look, it wasn't pretty. It was an ugly game. It was a gritty game. But it's a road game. And look, for all the greatness that Goff has done, those numbers are at home.
Yes.
The road, his numbers haven't been anywhere near what home. But it ain't got to be pretty on the road. At home, it's got to be a little more pretty. You're more comfortable. You've gotten the fans are with you. You got everything behind you. And this one, when you're on the road, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's just got to be a W. And we don't get many of those in the years past. You look at our recent history. You look at our long history, right. We don't get those W's on the road in these tough games where it's a 50-50 kind of game. We're playing someone that's around the same level of talent as us. Yes, the Jets had a much better start than we had, but they've cooled off as of late. But we're in the same position. Second-year head coach, trying to figure out the balances and everything to make this a winning football team. The Jets are very much in that same position that the Lions are in. They just got off to a hotter start, so everyone was like, oh, my God. But we're still a pretty even team. The Lions and the Jets are pretty comparable as far as how good or how bad they are. The point is, at the end of the day, when it all said and done, the Lions got the W. Yes, it was ugly, but they got the W, and that's what matters.
More than anything in this town, because we've seen all the struggles and we've seen the beauty of it. We've seen, superstar performances by guys on the offense and it just go off for naught. We've seen breakout performances on defense and it be off for naught. So yes, without question, the bottom line has to be a win is a win and you're going to take it. It shouldn't change, because I saw a lot of Lions fans as well, even on social media, kind of worrying about the stylistic of it a little bit, because, we all want to just see those, the blowouts that they had against the Jags repeatedly. And to me, I felt like the Lions were due for a game like this because, again, we've seen them play damn near perfect for 6 out of 7 weeks. This is still a mad, inexperienced team. This is still a very young, rookie-littered team. These aren't even like first or second-year players. You're getting a lot of this success from rookies. And considering how well that they have been playing, the great adjustments that we've been seeing, I didn't think he was going to be able to carry through the rest of this playoff atmosphere type stretch. They were due for a letdown. I don't even say a letdown because they still got to win, but it's due for a muck it up type game where they looked like, that young team that's still going through their growing pains. But again, we've seen them lose in situations like this season. The fact that they're able to put wins on the board now against convincing teams on the road, against a team just as desperate as you are, just as, hungry to get a win and establish themselves as a playoff contender, you can't be anything but impressed and relieved of what the Lions did on Sunday.
I need Charles to explain himself here with some of these comments he's saying. I agree it was a W, but it was just as close to an L. What is your point? I need some help here, Charles. I know you've been a fan for a long time, and we see you in the comments all the time, and we see you on the biting kneecaps group and all that. I need you to help me out here because this is not a team that's supposed to be winning yet. This is a team that was still building the way to change a culture that has been a culture of losing for so long. Just take the W. It's a hard game on the road against a team that is just as hungry to shed that losing mentality, because the Jets have had that, to make the playoffs because the Jets are in that position, and we got the W. It wasn't pretty, but we got the W, and that's all that matters. You win every game by 3 points, I don't care. As long as you win the game. The teams that won a Super Bowl by a field goal, are they sitting there going, man, we were so close to losing that? Nah, they celebrating the Super Bowl. So a win is a win. And a win on the road with a team that's not even a complete product is impressive. This game, we lose this game 9 times out of 10 over the last 25 years. Yesterday, and it was a great effort. Like I said, it wasn't pretty, but you are seeing the pieces of a complete team being made here against a top 5 defense in the NFL. They got the win. That's all that matters going forward. Get the win.
Somebody said Michael tell you to woosah. Just take it a little bit out. But
hey, hold up. This relaxed Matt Bassin. Y'all see me go off. I don't know if any of y'all watch Dragon Ball Z.
We didn't see this man turned up.
But like when they go Super Saiyan 2 and 3 and the hair comes, this is me relaxed.
This is you want to, okay, I like that. All right. I think they're overselling the struggles as well. We keep saying, yes, it wasn't pretty, but I don't think there was a bunch of horrendous play out of it. Like, do I think there could have been improvements? Of course, but I mean, you held this Jets running game. They ran the ball, if I'm not mistaken, 22 times, and you held them to 50 yards rushing as a team. The Lions have been fantastic against the run through this, back half of the schedule. They have been unbelievable in that regard. Again, you let up some big plays, and that's normal. You're not the 85 Bears. You're not going to hold nobody down to, just some like 105 yards thrown for the game or something like Trent Dilfer. It's not going to happen. So you take the spots where you can get them. And you never really lost control of the game. Like, were there moments where the momentum was teetering a little bit? Yes, you got some bad penalties from the secondary, some really bad penalties with Evan Brown off the offensive line. Like, yes, there were some moments where the Lions showed their inexperience and some of their weaknesses. But I don't in any way think that this was a bad game that they played. Like, to me, I feel like if there was any, because he said this was closer to an L than it was a W. I feel like the Packers game was closer to that. I don't think this was a representative of this type of game. I think they played fairly well, like you said, on the road in the different kind of atmosphere where, the Jets had as much motivation as you. And you played, I think, a lot better than fans are actually giving them credit for. So it's okay, Charles. I feel you, man. Just, we can be happy about what they did. I think this is the reason to be happy.
It's amazing how this fan base works as a whole. The start of the season, and then the rise up, and then it's, oh my God, talking about a playoff chance and all this other crap. But we're still forgetting that our secondary is awful, all right, and Hell's not out there Anuarie is not Gakuda, and an up-and-coming Kirby Joseph. All right? That's it for your secondary. So everything else, he's here when this is a complete product. All right? A lot of these names you're seeing on the back of the jersey are going to be different next becomes the guys playing for the Detroit Lions, especially the health issues that we're dealing with. So that is an area that they weren't able to cover up at all earlier in the season. Finding ways to hide the deficiency now in the secondary with the defensive line making up the difference and getting that pressure and getting to the quarterback and to the quarterback nearly as time. There are problems with this team still. I'm not going to poo-poo anything as far as how they're playing. Obviously, they've won 6-1 of their last 7 games. They are figuring things out on the fly, and I give all the credit in the world to Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and everyone else in the coaching staff who has found a way to do this. But this is not a great football team yet. Of their bridges, and I'm so glad they are. Take it. Enjoy it. We might even ride this into the playoffs, which is just ridiculous to even think about, but we're here, and that's where we are right now at 7-7. There is a chance for the playoffs, and everyone's talking, electing it. You should not expect that from the team yet. Hope for it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you should not expect that yet. From above their pay grade right now, and I will take it and ride it out for as long as I can, and I hope that we're watching them play a football game in February because that means we're in the playoffs. But you gotta take. I've said this so many times. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Ride the wave and enjoy what you can. And right now, there is a lot to enjoy, AB.
And I think that's what Charles is speaking to here. He said, let's be happy with the win, but let's not be putting a team on a pedestal. Would that be more fair to say? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you see us being happy right now, it's just with the product that we're seeing on the field and the consistency that they've shown. Yes, we're in no way saying that this is a time to, pencil them in as Super Bowl favorites or, they're going to be able to wipe out anyone who could. Like, we're not saying that at all. I'm doing my best to live in the moment. It's very hard with what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of fortune play out for the draft. We're seeing a lot of fortune play out for the playoff seedings. We're seeing a lot of things go the Lions' way that could help decide the future. But yes, Charles, you're 100% right. Do not put this team on a pedestal yet. Let them earn it. Let them continue to prove what we're seeing is not a mirage. I totally agree with that. I don't think we're putting them on a pedestal. I just think, again, I feel like Lions fans are kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if you're happy for them, then you're slappies. But if you're, suspicious or worried, then, you're just the same SOL fans. I think we're doing a good job of middling right in that middle ground. We're happy and we're hyped up. Ricky, you put up on a pedestal? That's what
about that high off the ground pedestal.
People are. Right. It's a small pedestal. It's okay. We're allowed to do that. Yeah. Again, we're seeing something that we've never seen before, Charles. These Lions are playing consistent team football with good clock management, with a front office that is putting young pieces in positions to grow right before your eyes. We're seeing things like, for me, I feel more comfortable with this regime right now than any other. We saw Caldwell win, but I didn't feel comfortable during Caldwell's tenure. I feel comfortable right now at this moment, right now, because of what we're seeing. And I think that's important that you can stamp over us thus far.
Wait, hang on. You're telling you the year that Matt Stafford led the Lions to 8 comebacks in the fourth quarter to win, you weren't comfortable that year?
No, I wasn't comfortable with that year because it was plenty. Like, to me, I don't love that. Like, I know we all love the dramatic flares of the Stafford comebacks, but to me, those late game comebacks is like a college kid who's mad brilliant, but he turns in his paper just before the nick of time, before your professor says, okay, time to get it in. Like, I don't always want to see that. I want you to play consistent games with a team, not just put the team on Stafford's back where he throws it 50 times like Justin Herbert, and you got to rely on that. Like, I'm more comfortable with what I'm seeing now compared to then, for sure.
No, absolutely. Look, this Lions team right now, so far this season, they've had at least 80. The last time we had that, Barry Sanders was our running back. It was 1997. That is a very long time ago to be having we wait that long for a consistent running game. Matt Stafford sitting here looking like, why couldn't I ever get this team when I was in Detroit? Because he never did have any team that was like this. We are seeing the seeing the difference makers, the Kirby Josephs, the Rodrigos, the Aiden Hutchinsons. These are the guys that are making the difference with these Detroit Lions. And that is a beautiful thing to see, because it's about the future that Brad Holmes and Dan build for these Lions. And we're seeing it ahead of schedule. And that's just a wonderful feeling.
And you ain't lying, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and chatting with us right here from Beyond the Box. Let's project a little bit. So it's 3 games left. They got Carolina, the Bears, and then Green Bay to close it out. What in your mind, because I feel like this question is kind of different. I feel like this can go in a plethora of different ways depending on where your expectations are for this team. Coming into the season, a lot of people just wanted to see the Lions teeter around 500. They're there now. You want to see them be competitive with everybody. They've shown they can do that. It's now 3 games left in the season, and I feel like everybody's expectations have twirled around 100 times. At this point, what do you think is, in your opinion, the best way to avoid an SOL finish to the season?
Are we talking realistically or in Lions fans as a group?
You're right. That's 2 different conversations. You can take them both if you want.
Realistically, we're already there. There was 13 and 1. We have more than doubled the wins in Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn's second year at the helm, at home, second and a half year as the GM. So we are already there in my mind. But expectations change as the season goes on. So the fact that we are already at 7 wins, more than double the number of wins last year, and we're at 500 football, and the playoffs are literally in our sight, expectations are going to change with that now. Me personally, to end the year, it's a winning record for the first time in a very, very long time, and a good feeling into next season. Do I want to make the playoffs? Of course. Who doesn't want to make the playoffs if you're a fan of the football team? No matter what team it is, you want them to make the playoffs, because especially with this team, and this is my favorite thing about this team, is that no one wants to face this team. I love that. I love being the team that no one wants to face. Everyone's scared of the Lions. What it means is there's no name out there that you're going to say flat out Lions have no shot, because they have proven it time and time again this year that they're going to be in the football game. So I love that. One is, to me, phenomenal finish to the year. 9-8 on the year is at tripling up the number of wins from last year, especially after a 1-6 start. But you're going to get fans out there saying, look, if we don't go 3-0, win 10 games, and make the playoffs, then it's a disappointment. And it is nowhere near a disappointment.
Yeah, I'm with you. Real quick, shout out to Chris MVP Harris. We appreciate you tuning in, my brother. Thank you for being here. I feel like this is a loaded question, because to an extent, I want to say they've already surpassed the ability for it to even get to an SOL thing, I believe. But how, again, it's lazy to just look at what they're doing and say, okay, this is either good or bad. It's necessary to peel the layers back. If it's just about winning, then you could still keep the SOL argument in play. I feel like it was in play during Caldwell's tenure when he was struggling with clock management, when you had bad offensive line play. You were very undisciplined with penalties. And for the most part, the Lions have done a good job of avoiding that type of stigma and those kind of mistakes. I don't think it would take victories to prove that at this point. And that may sound weird, but like, to me, I don't think they have to go to the playoffs to validate what they've been showing. Can you, at the very least, compete for 4 quarters? Can you, if you lose and get outclassed by a team, it is what it is. Now, you can argue and say, well, these 3 teams, they shouldn't be getting outclassed by. Sure, but there's 2 division games. Again, they've been playing perfect for a while. I'm keeping my bar of expectation a little low because, again, this is still a very inexperienced team. This is still a very young team learning and just now getting their feet wet with important games. So I feel like it's not going to be proven with the record or like what the final score is. To me, I need to see how they play in order to verify that. They've shown the ability to do that, but if they go back to their old ways, like I said, being penalized all the time, bad coaching calls by Dan Campbell, we've seen that be a problem. Aaron Glenn out scheming and, putting his defense in positions to get chewed up. I think they need to avoid those young mistakes and those rookie mistakes from here on out. Whether that comes in a win, I don't think is necessary. At least that's for me. That's just the way I look at it.
No, I'm with you, and I hear it. It's funny, SOL, it used to mean something else. It seems like it's taken off and become to mean a whole lot more things than it used to. It used to mean a couple that we were used to seeing for the Lions. Those standards were losing to teams that we had no business losing to, playing down to the competition, finding new and amazing, interesting ways to lose football games. I mean, ways that like exactly what happens here. If that happened with the Lions, every single player in Detroit going, of course that happens with the Lions. We hadn't found that way to lose yet, so we got to add that one to the bingo card. It found that. It's not just about losing and winning football games with SOL, and people have turned it into that, and I don't understand why. We're not at SOL anymore. These aren't the same old Lions. You are seeing the difference before your eyes this year, and it's a cultural change. And I'm not just talking about having players that like their head coach, because like you said, the players loved Caldwell.
Yes. And
Caldwell was, not a bad coach with the Lions. Right. 9 wins a year, you could book it like clockwork, but it wasn't enough for some people. Obviously, it wasn't enough for the ownership at the time. More changes were made. It was a disaster of a decision with Quinn Trisha, but it's trying to find the right start. And we're in that now because Stafford's not here. All right, there are no holdovers of the old regime. That was the clean break needed to really have a fresh start from the beginning and build this new culture, a culture the Lions have not seen in 60 years.
Right.
And build it from the ground up. And we're seeing that with Campbell. They building their way out. That is the way that we've seen it done for so many years with good football teams. And that's what we're trying to get to. I already think Al is already gone. We have proven it enough times this year that the Lions are not a competent football team. The Detroit Lions are a competent football team already in this year. And that's incredible to me that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and co. was able to do that in a year and a half. We were 6 weeks ago, everyone calling for their heads. And I'm here on the show with you and talking about patience. You got to have patience. We're in game 20 of a brand new regime. Give it time to get going. And now it's gotten going. And now we're seeing the fruits of that labor. And we aren't even close to done. And we're not even close to a finished product. This thing's still in the oven for a few more hours ready. And that's about another year or so. And then we're talking about, I think, where we're going to be, which is a team talked about in the offseason and expected to win a lot of football games in the actual season.
Yeah, it feels like it might sound a little weird because there's still 3 games left, but to me, they feel ahead of schedule. I feel like at this point, with how the season started off, going 1-6, where we were all buried with our head in the sand, just ready for the season to be over, to get back into draft mode, they flip things quickly. And again, it's on the back of their young players. Kirby Joseph becoming a star. Aiden Hutchinson establishing himself as a 2-way defensive lineman, not just a pass rusher. He's doing awesome in run support. He's doing a really good job of helping his teammates and set that D line. We're seeing Bugs play well, McNeil breaking out, James Houston, who we just talked about before off camera, Malcolm Rodriguez. Like, we're seeing someone else in the secondary. I think one person who does deserve some credit for the corners, even though they are terrible, Jerry Jacob is doing a really good job since he came back from injury. He deserves a lot of credit for how well he's playing. And again, you're seeing that kind of continuity with a young but still somewhat of a veteran experienced offensive line as well, a veteran quarterback, and young pieces that are growing and getting better week by week. To me, we all came in with these expectations of them being competitive. We were excited for what we could see for the future, to see if they could be exciting, to see if they could. I think the only realistic expectation that we had that's been for sure lived up is how good the offense has been playing. Defense, we didn't know what to expect. A lot of other pieces, we didn't really know what to expect. But the offense, I think, has clicked basically for the majority of the season. And with the reps that we've seen consistently and their ability to play against a number of different teams, division rivals, opponents out of your conference, opponents in your conference, on the road, at home. Like, you've shown the ability to make adjustments and show what it takes to be a winning veteran team in the NFL, which is not easy when you're playing a bunch of rookies with a young, inexperienced coaching staff on top of that. So to me, it feels like they're ahead of schedule, even if they don't get to the playoffs. If they play these next 3 games hard, if you see Jared Goff playing well, you see them, grinding it out for 4 full quarters, I'm not finna trip on the playoffs. To me, they're already ahead of schedule from what we expected to start off the season.
Oh, absolutely. Especially before Hard Knocks. Before Hard Knocks,
sure.
Everyone's expectations were tempered. We're talking about if we get 6 wins, if we double the number of wins we had from the year before, then we are showing that growth and improvement, and we're feeling okay. Then Hard Knocks happened, and everyone started losing their mind with expectations for what the Lions were going to do. And then the 1-6 start happened. And yes, most of those games were really close. New England blew us out. That's Bill Belichick being Bill Belichick. There's no one better at taking away your strength and emphasis against a brand new head coach. We knew he circles around Dan Campbell, and he absolutely did. The offense looked worse than we thought it was going to look, especially with how they played that game. But since that game, the offense has gotten back, and the defense has come around. We're seeing them at least be a competent defense that's not giving up 40 points a game. So the expectations start changing and swinging, but I'm with you. We're already ahead of schedule. If we were saying 6-7 wins, it's a different story when we're talking about 6-7 wins for the whole season, and 6-7 wins, we're at 500 with 3 weeks to go in the season. Now you're talking about ahead of schedule. Yes, they could lose the next 3 games and finish at 7-10, and we're right where I was thinking with, showing improvement. It's how you get there, though. Things can happen in football games. We have gotten to that point where we're showing that we're a competitive football team that is going to be in the game. It's going to be very. If we get absolute, still going to happen. These guys are human, and even the best teams have just absolute what just happened there kind of Sundays. But
yes,
to already be at 7 wins with 3 wins for 10, a chance for 9, a chance for 8 wins. This is where I thought we would be next year, and we're here now, and I'm loving every minute of it.
No question, man. Again, we've seen some super embarrassing moments, whether it was this week alone or throughout this season alone. The fact that the Lions ain't been a part of any of it is a blessing in itself. We saw the Colts fumble away a 33-point game on Saturday. We just saw, I can't stop talking about what happened with the Patriots. Knowing it happened on Matt Patricia's watch makes me feel so great. It really makes me forgive what they did earlier. I don't even care about that game with the blowout anymore in New England. Knowing how they fumbled that game makes me so happy. You are seeing this team turn a corner of maturity, establish an identity, play for their coach even after starting the season with the struggles that they did. They're establishing a lot right now. Lions fans, this is the time to be very rejoiceful and very happy with what we've seen. I'm telling you. Let's enjoy it up together, man. Let's enjoy it while we got it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you and I, our first show together was right after NFL draft. And we went through and broke down each of the players and what we thought, what we hoped. And I mean, literally everyone that we brought up, where we were talking about, obviously we knew what we were getting with Hutchinson, at least we thought we knew what we were getting with Hutchinson, and it's kind of been proven to be true. But we were talking about Kirby Joseph because everyone was like, well, who is this kid? We were talking about James Houston, people were like, well, who is this kid? And we were talking about this, and we were giving out reasons for why you should be hopeful for these kids and their ability for what they can do going forward. And James Houston, especially because he kind of disappeared in training camp, we didn't see him really in Hard Knocks, and this was a kid with so much high college and going to Florida, and then some stuff happened and he left and he went to an HBCU and, balled out there, absolutely balled out there, and that was why I was so excited. I'm like, we are getting a beast, just wait. And then he disappeared completely, and I'm like, well, crap, maybe I was way wrong on this one. Well, obviously something was up health-wise or whatever, because since he's been back, he is one of 3 players in the history of the NFL that's keeping stats of sacks, which is 1982 when they started doing this. He is one of 3 players ever from that time forward to record at least a sack in every single one of his first 4 starts in the NFL. That is rarefied air. That is so. He's got 5. It's absolutely incredible. He is a part of that group that we talked about. Reasons for hope for the future, and the future's hitting us earlier than we all expected. Ev.
I'm seeing a lot of Von Miller comparisons for him. I've seen a lot of it online. I'm trying not to chug on the Kool-Aid for that, but I've seen a lot of it with his bid and his play style. I'm so happy to see James Houston pop off. Thank you, everybody, for still tuning in with us. Make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Search and follow Detroit Sports Nation. Tap in with us right now. And make sure you subscribe in on our YouTube channel as we ramping up on our way to 6,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe and lock in. I'm appreciating all the parity in the NFL right now, man. Again, we were this close to having to get back to draft mode and, being able to not even enjoy the NFL season for what it's worth. And I appreciate, the mystery of it for now. I'm appreciating the competition, and it's really going outside just the Lions as well. One of my favorite topics right now is the MVP race, which is getting closer and closer and closer. And then even now with the update that we just saw regarding Jalen Hurts, it could teeter a lot with what happens in this MVP race for right now. But there's some names, some good players out there. It's a lot of good names that are worthy for that MVP discussion. Who do you think should be leading the MVP race right now in the NFL?
I don't know how you argue against Jalen Hurts to be the leader in the MVP. About the best team in football record-wise, a very competent offense, and that's proven people, including myself, very wrong. Because I wasn't a fan of this kid at Alabama. I wasn't a fan of this kid when he went to Oklahoma. I laughed very hard when Tua Tagovailoa went in and took his job, and I was like, I don't see it with him. I see the athletic ability, but I didn't see pure quarterback ability. And he is proving every single one of the people like myself absolutely wrong. When the Eagles made this decision to move forward with Jalen Hurts, I'm sure a lot of people like myself were scratching their head going, God, you are going to be wasting this team on Jalen Hurts. And they are this team into one of the best teams in football, maybe the best team in football. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, for how it plays out. I mean, it's him, it's Mahomes, and then it's kind of everybody else because everyone else has fallen off. Josh Allen has had some head-scratching games that really no one else has had. I mean, at least with the Chiefs, look, Sunday, head-scratching game for the Chiefs. Like, you go to overtime with the Texans. But they got the job done. They got the W. I'm sure they overlooked that team. They thought they could waltz in and just beat up on the Texans. It didn't happen. And instead of learning a bad lesson with a loss, they learned a tough lesson with the win. Mahomes, his ability is just unmatched right now in the NFL. It's just ridiculous. From IQ to passing ability to accuracy to strength, it's just insane. So he's always going to be involved in the race as long as he's got a team around him, which he absolutely does in Kansas City. So I think it's him and Jalen Hurts. Hurts is the one. He's the two. And then I think it's everybody else that you want to throw out there. Unfortunately, it seems like it's really all quarterback related as far as MVPs. None of the running backs have really, they've all had injury issues, whether it's Jonathan Taylor or just bad T. Henry. Like, it's just, to me, it's a two-man race and then everybody else.
Yeah, I was very puzzled watching the Chiefs yesterday. I don't know what the Texans are doing with all this competitive winning that they try to do. If y'all don't stop and just go get Bryce Young, like, relax, just, solidify for your future. You said you don't know how anybody could argue against Jalen Hurts. I'm going to try.
Go ahead.
Because I think it's Pat Mahomes. And I feel like, first of all, I'll agree with you 1,000%. Nobody saw this coming from Jalen Hurts. I was hopeful for him. I thought he had a chance to be successful in the league, and I liked him going to Philly. I thought that was a good spot for him, even with Carson Wentz being ahead of him. But to me, I still think it's Patrick Mahomes. I think in all major categories, he's leading. First in passing yards, first in touchdowns. He's creeping up pretty high with his gunslinging interceptions that he's throwing. But to me, like, I like to nitpick in these. Like, if I were a voter, I feel like you have to nitpick in these kind of moments. You can't just say, all right, well, his team is this. He's the quarterback. Boom, bow, bow. Like, no, that can't be it. I feel like there's a lot of layers, and I feel like it's necessary to talk about. Seeing what Patrick Mahomes was able to do in a season where they took away his best weapon in Tyreek Hill and has really just had a makeshift of receivers around him, not the most consistent offensive line, not the best defense, really no kind of run game that's consistent behind him. Like, he doesn't have that much consistency around him, and he's still putting up these video game numbers where it looks like he might have the same numbers he put up his first year starting. Now, when you look at Jalen Hurts, I feel like the Micah Parsons, I don't know if you saw the interview that he was doing with Von Miller where they're arguing, is it Jalen or is it the team? I feel like the team argument is pretty strong. It's not a knock on Jalen Hurts, and quarterbacks do deserve their credit, especially for how well he's playing as a passer and as a running quarterback. He's been fantastic, but I've seen Pat Mahomes put up video game numbers with help taken away from him, and Jalen Hurts is putting up great numbers with more help being added around him. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think he's entering the top 10 quarterback discussion, but seeing that they just added A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith taking a step forward, Miles Sanders, who didn't score a touchdown all last season, he's now waking up. I believe their defense is top 3, top 5 at this moment in time right now. So he has a lot of complementary things that I think serves that question that Micah Parsons brought up as valid. I think it is a discussion, and because of that, if I had a vote, I would give it to Patrick Mahomes.
And look, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for picking Patrick Mahomes for MVP, okay? But I feel like there's a lot of things that go involved. There's politics that go involved. Look, you're never going to any year of Shaq's prime where Shaquille O'Neal wasn't the MVP.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
You took Shaq off whatever team he was on, whether it was Orlando in his early years or those Laker years. Like, he was the most valuable player in the NBA.
No
He's
question.
got one MVP. So,
crazy.
To me, it's Patrick Mahomes already has an MVP. The year that I thought it should have went to Drew Brees, near the end of Drew Brees' career, they gave Mahomes an MVP. And going to be doing this year in and year out, we think, in the next 10 to 15 years. And I think there's going to be more obvious chances of him it's Pat Mahomes and everybody else. And I feel like politics is going to play a factor of Patrick Mahomes has one. He's really young. You more. Jalen Hurts has the best record in football. We've seen the difference that he's made because the Eagles had a good team before Hurts stepped up. But they were just a good team. Sure. Now they're the number one team in football as far as record-wise. And is the team that most people are picking to beat as far as especially the NFC is concerned for the Super Bowl. And so I feel like some of that might play into factor. Look, if you're asking me who would I rather have at quarterback, it's Patrick Mahomes all day. And I'm not even taking a second thought on it. But and like I said, I think it was the MVP this year. There's a very, very strong argument for it. I just feel like Jalen Hurts, with the year that he's had and the politics that's going to be at play, where I think Pat's going to be here year in and year out, this might be one that they throw to Hurts and then go back to Pat next year.
And I hate that. Knowing that that's how, because I hear it too. Like, I watch and listen to these guys on these major shows, and it's narrative. Oh, he did this, and he was a superhero for this, and like you can tell they literally are speaking to like voter burnout, and that's not how it's supposed to be. It's getting to a point where, like you said it perfect with Shaq, and you could even take it to golf, where you would take Tiger or the field. Pat Mahomes is becoming Tiger Woods at this point, and it shouldn't be a disqualification to him, especially in a situation like now where, again, if you wanted to use narrative, you could use everything that I just applied with how well he's playing with the help that's adjusted around him all season long. Like Addy Kadarius told you have a TikTok star, Juju Smith, as your number 2 receiver. Like Valdez Scantling. Like the inconsistency that they've had to deal with their receiver in their run game, their defense, like losing a Tyrann Mathieu. Like they've lost a lot of pieces and have had to deal with a lot. So I hate that that's become so normal and acceptable, but that's kind of the business now with these narratives.
I will say, and I said this years ago with Gronk, that Gronk is the most valuable player non-quarterback when he was playing in the NFL. When the Patriots had Gronk, good luck beating the Patriots. Travis Kelce is that good of a tight end where you can lose, good as Tyreek Hill, and still find ways to get it done because he still had his security blanket, and it's a hell of a security blanket in Travis Kelce. Right. He is that good. Take Kelce away from the Chiefs. Now let me see what Patrick Mahomes does. With all the receivers he still has, if you take Kelce away, now we're really testing what Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, losing that speed artist is very important. Sure-handed, absolute trust guy who happens to be one of the top 3 tight ends in the history of the NFL is very important. And so having that kind of helped offset how much they were going to lose, in my mind at least, with Tyreek Hill. That you're not going to replace Tyreek Hill. His speed is ridiculous. No. All right, you're not just going to replace that. But you can survive it with a few other wide receivers you bring in, as long as you still have that guy in Kelsey who you know is going to be there when you need him.
For sure. And actually, real quick, before we go on to our next topic, want to send some good wishes out to Jalen Hurts. Again, looks like there was news reported that he's dealing with a shoulder injury where he could be missing really the rest of the season. Where, again, I don't think it will alter anything with the Eagles. It looks like they got that number 1 spot sold up. But with their consistency and his ability to get MVP, this is really exactly what happened to Carson Wentz, except he couldn't keep playing in the playoffs. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully everything's okay with Jalen Hurts, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the race shakes out, man. It should be a pretty good one to shake out.
So the Eagles signed Nick Foles?
Let's hope not. Let's hope he's finally gone now at this point. Make sure you guys check up GearUpDetroit.shop. It is the holiday season. If you're doing your last second Christmas shopping, hop online after Beyond the Box and check out GearUpDetroit.shop. You can get 25% off your purchase by using the coupon code BTB25 off. Again, it's a perfect gift, a perfect site to go check out before the holiday season gets here. Make sure you check out the site now and get your shop on with GearUpDetroit.shop. All right, man. So we're going to get into our week 16 picks. AJ cannot be here. I'm going to have to tally on your behalf. You are picking for him, who I believe I should be in the lead on at this point, if not tied or in the lead, because I got the Chargers game on him and we split for the rest of our guesses. So I might be in a good favorable position here. We'll see. We'll check out when we get these done. But we're going to go through these games. We're trying to pick the most that apply to the Lions agenda. And the pretty big and important games, too. It should be fun to watch. And let's get right to them right now we can. The first game on the listing is Seattle going on the road. The Seahawks going to face the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you got?
You know who I got. We just talked about the man. It's Kansas City. It's Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about a Seahawks defense that is, gotten a little bit better, but they're still not good. And I think Mahomes is just going to have a field day on this one. All the props in the world appear, but you fighting above your weight class in this one. I got Kansas City.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for him. I hope it doesn't ruin Geno Smith's comeback player of the year campaign. I love what Seattle's doing, but they seem to be it should be sewn up at this point. But yeah, I don't see them beating Kansas City on the road. Looks like they're taking a swing down, suffered a bad loss against San Francisco on Thursday Night Football. Give me Kansas City as well. Shouldn't even be close. Next game, we have the New York Giants against the lucky, fraudulent Minnesota Vikings. Who do you got?
Wait, what time's the game?
Oh, that's a good question.
We got to look. This is Kirk Cousins.
Let me do some recount on that one. Let me do some double checking on that one. I don't think they're playing Sunday night game. Let me believe they are. Well, let me keep looking. Hold on one second. I want to say they're one of the 1 o'clock games, but I want to be certain.
So it's a normal game.
Yep,
so you're going to get normal Kirk Cousins. I don't think you're going to jump out to a 33-0 lead. Their offense is a little wishy-washy. Like I said earlier in the year when everyone was like, oh, my God, look what the Giants are doing. It's like, no, the Giants ride Saquon Barkley. If Saquon Barkley's healthy, the Giants are a decent team. If he's not and he's got issues, the Giants are just a bad football team. So the defense has absolutely improved. I don't know if they have the weapons to hang with. I think Minnesota's going to put up 28-plus points. I don't think the Giants are going to hit 28. So I think it'll be a good football game, but I think Minnesota's going to put up too many points for the Giants to match.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota. so tired of them. I'm so tired of these fluky victories that they get. I'm tired of these late game dramatics that they keep living on. But if there's anyone more fluky than them, you just spoke to it. It's the Giants. I don't buy them at all. I think the Lions broke them, and I feel like the offense is just too high powered. It's a Saturday game at 1:00. It's a lot of Saturday games coming up, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings, and I think it'll be a 10-point game. I think they'll get up by double digits. I'll go with the Vikings in that one. The next game is the Washington Commanders going on the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers. This is a Saturday 4:00 game. Who do you got?
Man, I really like Heineke. I enjoy his passion and the fact that he surprised a lot of people. He's not the guy. We're not going to see too much more of him, I don't think, as far as an NFL career after this year.
Facts.
Might see spot play here or there. You're going up against a defense that is a beast. And a Brock Purdy that seems to have better command of the offense than Trey Lance ever did in his short stint as the starter for the 49ers, can throw the ball better than Jimmy Garoppolo absolutely can. And even without Deebo Samuel, has that offense actually kind of moving and clicking. The Niners are I said the Lions are a team that no one wants to face in the playoffs. The Niners are absolutely a team that no one wants to face, period. That defense is going to hurt you. And I'm afraid for Heineke. I think he's going to get hurt this week playing up against those Niners. I got San Francisco 49ers gang all day.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree on that one as well. Nick Bosa's on a mission. McCaffrey's been playing really good ever since he got traded over there. I love seeing his transition. Yeah, this one speaks too easy. I feel like all those NFC East teams are just on the way down. I feel like they're all going to plummet and come back to earth, especially the Giants and the Commanders. I just don't buy them at all. Give me the Niners in a comfortable one. I'm not sure why this game was picked. It has nothing to do with the Lions' agenda, but these are two teams that are surging currently. So let's go ahead and split with this. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets, two previous victims of the Lions. Who you got?
Offense versus defense, huh? The Jags have offense. I mean, you've got the quarterback, you've got a running back that he knows real well in Travis Etienne. Christian Kirk. I've actually always been a fan of Christian Kirk. He was just kind of buried in Arizona behind two or three other really good wide receivers, and he would just ball out from time to time. He's got his moment to shine, and he's been taking advantage of it this year. The Jags are playing great. Doug, you saw as well as I did yesterday. Bonus coverage. Let's show the Jaguars and the Cowboys and an absolute comeback victory and overtime and a pick six to seal it off. They're playing really good football. The Jets, I don't know if they have the. Is it in New York? It's in New York, right?
New York. It's in New York.
That's the problem. If this was in Jacksonville, I'm going with the Jags. It's in New York. It's going to be just like the game we just saw, I think, with the Lions. I really do. I think we're going to see a 2017 kind of game. I think the Jets might actually pull this one out. So give me the. I know I just talked up all this stuff on the Jags. Generally, when you're talking offense versus defense, you want to lean defense. They usually get the job done. I think that the Jets are going to learn a few things from this game against the Lions, and I think we're going to see what they learned this week against the Jags. So give me the Jets in this one.
Okay. We'll finally go in opposite directions on this.
There we go.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the Jaguars. You talked me into it. I thought that's where you were gonna go, but I can't get into what the Jets do. I love their defense. I feel like with Zach Wilson under center, I just don't trust that offense to move consistently and methodically. You can see Garrett Wilson and all the receivers during the game, even when they were driving and doing well, just punching the air. It's shocked that Wilson was making some of the reads and the throws that he was making. And I feel like the Jags, after beating the Cowboys, how they just did, I think they're ramping up against some life now. I didn't realize they weren't that far either. They're a 6-8 team at this point right now. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Jags on the road. I think they can get it done on the road. I'm gonna take the Jags for that one. And finally, I'm pretty sure we'll tie this on as well. The Detroit Lions, the Carolina Panthers for last. What do you got?
Well, these Detroit Lions have now gone 13 straight weeks with a turnover. The good kind. Us taking it away from them. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. For a defense so bad longest active streak in the NFL at getting a turnover, and they are going up against Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold loves turning the ball over.
Loves it.
And I think that's going to play heavily into this. I think we're going to see 2+ turnovers taken away by the Detroit Lions defense. Maybe they're both picks. Maybe it's a pick and a fumble. I got the Lions winning this one. They're rolling the momentum. The Panthers have had look, for everything that's happened to the Panthers this year, they actually have had a semi-decent year, and in a division so bad, they're still actually in the hunt to win the division, which is just ridiculous. That's how bad everyone else has been in the NFC South. But I think the Lions are a better football team than the Carolina Panthers, and I think we're going to see that this weekend, where the Lions, I got the Lions winning by double digits. I don't say that very often. I haven't been able to say that very often. But I think that the Lions are a much more complete football team. The fact that we have a consistent running game to help open things up for the passing game has given me a lot more confidence in this offense. The defense has gotten a heck of a lot better over the last 7-8 weeks. And I think all of that's going to play out with one of our more complete games of the year against the Carolina Panthers to put the Lions with a winning record in Week 16 at 8-7. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Oh man, I thought the Lions were due for a muck it up game, and I thought it was going to be against the Jets. I feel like to close these last 4 games out, I think the Panthers game is going to be the best game that they'll play through these last 4 games. They're a little ugly against the Jets. I think they're going to have to muck it up against their 2 division foes. I think this game is where they look the best out of all 4. I think they're going to give hell to Sam Darnold. This is a team that is dead last in yards. They're horrible on third down offensively. Like, they can't protect the quarterback very well. I think this is a game where the defense feasts. I think Kirby Joseph finds another interception. I think this is a game where I'm with you. I think they win by double digits comfortably. I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the Lions as well. This should be a very convincing victory on the road for the Lions as they need. All right. So we got those marked down and solidified. Hopefully I can still ride off with a couple more points against AJ in our little spread. I've been doing pretty good so far. We'll see how the rest of the season turns out. And finally, time to close out the show with a little bit of Who-Rah Who Cares, one of my favorite segments where we finally get to talk and boost up a conversation or a topic in the NFL or sports that needs a little bit of extra attention, and a who cares to somebody we're tired of hearing about, a team, a player that just needs to be put on the back burner and not be heard from for a while. Love this segment, and I can't wait to get it popped off. Do you have a contribution that you want to get on for Who-Rah Who Cares?
For sure. Okay. We starting the positive or negative?
You let's go with the Who-Rah first. Let's go positive.
Okay, well, the Who-Rah is something I said a temper a minute ago, but I still love hearing about it, and it's Lions playoffs talk. Give me more of that, which means give me more Lions victories, which means we can continue the Lions playoff talk, because it's been a long time since I got to hear about some Lions playoff talk with a realistic possibility. We ain't talking about week 3 and week 4. We talking about week 15 and 16. Give me more of that year in and year out.
Duh, it's so weird watching like the national media, everybody hyping, pick the Lions, everybody repeating the same kind of stuff that we. It's so weird having that type of support, but it's all unfamiliar. But we should start getting used to it with how well they've been playing. Good call. I'm with you on that. I'm gonna stick to the Lions. I'm gonna stick to the Lions with my hoorah, and I got to give a shout out to Kirby Joseph. He won the first place fan vote in Pro Bowl voting for the NFC free safety. I am completely shocked by that. I just talked about this on the news desk. You shouldn't only be looking at victories for what you're celebrating with how well this team is doing. Stack the W's for the small things too, whether it's a fan voting for Kirby Joseph, Aiden Hutchinson breaking out, the offensive line playing collectively well, Jamal Williams every time he scores a touchdown. Appreciate all of it that's going together, because we don't see this. Before it was just, all right, we're rooting. We came to see Barry, or we came to see Megatron, or we came to see Stafford. You're seeing a whole team of young talent put it together at the same time early in their career. So I got to give a shout out to Kirby Joseph with how well he's been playing. I really hope he gets on that Pro Bowl roster. I think they announced the official votes on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe it is. We'll have the report on DetroitSportsNation.com, but I'm super excited to see how that goes, man. I think he has a good shot of getting up there as a starter. Hopefully a replacement, one of the two.
No, I want to take it a step further, and I want to create the Brad Holmes Award for best rookie class each year in the NFL because we got this on lock, baby. We got absolute lock on this. You got Hutch, you got Rodrigo, you got Kirby, you got Houston. We got this award locked down. Just name it after our president, our VP. Let's just do it now. Just name it after Brad Holmes, the GM. It's his award because he's going to continue doing this next year and the year after that and the year after that. We're going to hit the LeBron, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
See, an unbelievable class where you've gotten contribution from everybody. It's been so cool to see this team grow. Who cares? Who do you got, man?
Man, this is my who cares, and it's a fix that needs to be done. I don't want to hear a damn thing from you, NFL, if you are not going to get the replay right and actually make it so that it changes what happens in the football game. Don't show me that Curtis Samuel was held in the end zone as time runs out with Washington trying to force overtime against the New York Giants and go, oh, he was held, oh, we messed that up. No, that's the same thing as the NBA 2-minute report where they let you know how many times the refs messed up. Don't tell me about it. Fix it. I don't want to hear a damn thing about it if you are not going to make it right on the field of play where these guys are putting everything out there to win these games and you messing things up. I mean, take it further with the lineman who's sitting there watching the wide receiver, seeing where his foot is lining up and then hitting him with the flag when he flat out asked him, am I good? And you telling him you good. Fix all of this now. You are the biggest league in America. You got all the money in the world. You've got all the technology in the world to get it right and get it to that the product on the field is what it should be with no excuses. I'm tired of hearing about it afterwards. Just get it right the first time. Get it fixed. If you missed it, fix it on the field so we can see the actual game played out the way it's supposed to.
Absolute embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment to see how many calls, not even just this week alone, with that game, with the Commanders. I cannot believe they have been this bad. I'll even take it a step further back to the Lions game because I saw a bunch of Jets fans mad at Okudah when he held Garrett Wilson in the end zone and they let him get away with it. I agree. That was a horrible miss. But don't be mad at us. Go talk to the refs. We've done our war with the refs. We've done our bidding and fighting with the league for decades. We're done. Y'all handle that now. We don't want no smoke. We don't want to have to deal with this no more. Y'all take care of that. These refs have been a disgrace. My who cares is a downplaying of someone who's been really good. My who cares has been Ben Johnson. And this is just a little word to the league. Don't pay attention to all the raving you're seeing in the media. Don't pay attention to what we're saying on the internet. It's all smoke and mirrors. He's not that good. I'm telling you. Players don't like him. He's really Matt Patricia 2.0. You don't want him. Let him stay in Detroit. Let him stay with us till we get a Super Bowl. Don't call and worry about Ben Johnson. We'll take care of him here in Detroit. Oh, I'm going to be so mad when he's gone.
I know. I know. I'm with you. Don't pay attention to any of that nonsense. Those all inflated numbers and crap. No. That's not Johnson at all. It's all these great players we've had in Detroit for all this time. They just decided to pick this year to actually show out.
They're winning and playing great in spite of him. That's what's happening right now, man. This is
exactly
awesome territory to be part of. Matt, thank you so much for being here, man. We appreciate you for joining us on Beyond the Box. And thank all of you for being here as well. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're ramping up on our way to 6,000 subscribers. You can tap in with us right here every Monday, 7 o'clock, Beyond the Box here on Detroit Sports Nation. I am Eric Vincent. He's Matt Bassin. We appreciate your time. We'll see you back here again next week. Peace.